patient's side of the story.
Hello and welcome to this podcast. As part of a project called Art in Saclay, teams from the Servier Group, in collaboration with patients and artists, are offering an innovative and inspiring exhibition at the Paris Saclay Research and Development Institute. The exhibition features works of art by 3 artists inspired by the powerful testimonials of patients they have met. These discussions, words and confessions served as inspiration. While it all began with these meetings, we wanted to offer you additional interviews with these artists and some of the patients to understand this rather unprecedented creative process and to see how such a project, which was also intended to inspire the Servier Group's employees and researchers, had been experienced by all those involved. Well, in this issue, we welcome Catherine Cerizet. Catherine took part in the project by meeting the artist Laurent Fancliffe, with whom she spoke frankly about herself, her illness, and much more. This was a moment particularly close to Catherine's heart, having worked in the art world for 20 years and having been diagnosed with breast cancer in 2000 at the age of 37. In 2009, this shock led to her determination to do something about it. She opened an information blog about the disease, and today she is also involved in the voluntary sector and has opened a health consultancy agency that helps players in the healthcare system co-construct with patients tools adapted to their needs and uses. What's more, she teaches interns in general medicine and founded a startup specializing in artificial intelligence, again, in connection with quality of care. Let's talk to her about her experience. Hello, Catherine.
Bonjour, Ludovic.
Hello, Ludwig.
Catherine, as we mentioned, you played an active part in the Art in Saclay project. Before talking about it in detail, could you first tell us a bit about your relationship with the Servier Group?
Well, actually, through my health consultancy, I met a woman who worked at Servier. She set up a program called Resourcez-vous, aimed at women with metastatic breast cancer, and I worked on it for maybe 8 years. We did some extraordinary things together, with a real desire to help patients. That's how I came to know Servier. Since 2012, I've been working with Servier, and I'm very happy to collaborate with all the teams.
Well, let's get back to our Art in Saclay project, if you don't mind. When you heard about it, what was your reaction? And above all, why did you agree to take part?
First of all, you need to know that we worked with a number of international patients on the Saclay project to implement something meaningful for Servier's employees, while also incorporating the patient's vision. When this project was born and we started talking about art as a means of conveying messages, it was a no-brainer for me. Pairing up patient artists to embody these ideas made perfect sense. I believe art is incredibly important and speaks to everyone on multiple levels. We can simply like or dislike it, but we can also delve deeper, trying to understand the artist and the context, integrating it into society and its time. For me, it was crucial to bring this perspective to the researchers. Their work, although vital, can sometimes feel disconnected from reality, especially when you're focused on test tubes and experiments. This project was a way to restore meaning, helping them remember why they do what they do. It reminds them that the patient is not just a subject, but a person with a story. Plus, the project adds cheerfulness and colour to their environment.
And did you know there was such a thing as an artistic process when an artist, after talking to a patient like you, could turn it into a work of art?
So, yes, I knew it existed, because there are associations that already do it. But it's a completely different thing to be part of the process. It's completely different because it means exposing yourself. I'm really used to talking about my story. There are no taboos. But talking to someone and revealing yourself to someone you don't know, knowing that they will create something from it, that's completely different. I was absolutely delighted to do it because Laurent is someone you immediately relate to. I found him to be an extremely good listener. I think he really listened and heard me, and it was a great moment for me. I've done a lot of things in 24 years, but I have to admit that this was a bit of a magical parenthesis.
Did you perhaps put up unconscious barriers? Did you tell yourself that maybe you shouldn't talk about certain things, or did you feel free to share everything? Did you have any preconceived ideas going into it?
Not at all. First of all, I'm an unfiltered person. I was ready to give everything away. What was interesting was that he took me into areas I'd never imagined. Oh, like music. Music has always carried me along, and I'm very expressive about it. He got me into this field by telling me we would start with music. We had connections outside the work itself. It was really a meeting between two people who wanted to get to know each other and create something together. It was an exchange between two people, and he was truly exceptional. We talked for an hour and a half. He's not my best friend, but he's someone I really hit it off with.
And what did you tell him about your experience as a patient and your experience with this disease?
I think I told him everything, but my story is anecdotal. There isn't just one breast cancer. There are many types. There isn't just one patient. There are many patients, each experiencing things differently. However, there are common experiences, like the impact on those around you, life after diagnosis, the fear, the shock of learning you have the disease, the fear of death, your relationship with your children, and your sense of femininity. In any case, I gave him my all, that's for sure.
And what did this encounter, this experience, bring you, Catherine? Did it have a therapeutic effect in any way?
I can't really say it had therapeutic virtues because I hope I'm cured and somewhat beyond my personal history with the illness. But on a human level, it brought me something profound. Just knowing that there will be a trace of what I've been through in Saclay is comforting. The idea that my experience is memorialized, there is something I cherish. You know, when you first face something like this, the initial question is, why me? It took me years to find the answer, which is, why not me? Resilience, to me, is about turning something bad into something meaningful. It's about recognizing that what happened to me wasn't in vain. This artwork is a testament to that. It marks my presence on Earth, showing that even though I went through this, it has resulted in something positive. Somewhere in this world, there's a piece of art that tells my story.
A piece that tells your story and also speaks about the illness, which was so important to share.
What I'm really trying to do in my day-to-day work is to get people to talk about breast cancer fairly, not necessarily in a good way, but in a fair manner. Breast cancer is not a small cancer. Yes, a large percentage of women do recover from it. But over 12,000 women die from it every year. One of the legacies I hope to leave is to encourage people to discuss it more openly and fairly. Many people tend to run away when you tell them you have cancer. I'd like to tell them, don't run away. Don't be afraid. If you don't know what to say, just be there. Simply holding hands. Saying nothing, just being there, is wonderful. It's already so huge.
So does this Art in Saclay project fit in with everything you've just said?
Oh, absolutely. For patients, it has a significant place because patients are at the heart of Saclay. They are present and give meaning to the work of researchers. On a personal level, I wouldn't say it's a period, but rather it's come full circle. I was in the art world. I had this disease, and I've worked for 20 years in healthcare. I'm approaching retirement. Ending up with a work of art that speaks of my story is really something. It's magical.
As we speak, Catherine, you haven't yet discovered this work. Do you have any particular expectations?
I want to discover it in its entirety, and I want to discover it with Laurent. I want Laurent's explanation of the piece, and I want to have a moment with him. I often say it's not just about how you say things, but how the other person feels. I'm extremely curious to know how he received my story. He has a very cheerful nature. From what I've seen of Laurent, his work is like fireworks, a kind of lyrical explosion, which suits me perfectly.
What did you tell people about this encounter, and what did you share with your family and friends?
I talked a lot about it. I said it was great. I described it as something that felt obvious to me, but also surprising. It's been a great adventure. I don't regret it for a moment. Whatever work Laurent has done, I'm curious to talk to him about it, and I really thank him.
I'm sure that message will be well received by Laurent. Catherine, do you have any final words for the Servier teams?
I'd like to tell them that they're doing a fantastic job, and that they may not always be aware of it. But they should know that patients are deeply connected to the outcomes of their research, because for us, it's truly vital. We need to keep going, but we must do it with patients, not just for patients.
Well, on a personal note, I'm also grateful for people like you, Catherine, who articulate these thoughts so well and offer such inspiring words. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us in this podcast.
Thank you, Ludovic.
And here we are at the end of this conversation and this podcast. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to share and comment, and don't miss our other episodes devoted to the Art in Saclay project.
Patient's side of the story.